Hello, beautiful and wonderful individual Earth beings out there, and welcome to today's topic of spiritual discussion and contemplation. To be able to sit in the storm, to be able to, in any circumstance and in any sort of turbulence, especially inside, to keep a cool mind. Of course, it's easier than it sounds. No, it sounds easier than it is to do. That's why training and practice, even alone, when you're by yourself, you sit with yourself, speaking with yourself, ask yourself questions. You will be surprised over how many of these questions you yourself know the answer to. We know more, especially the clever person in us, the subconscious, that is a blend of both good and bad, if we should say it like this. And they are in a conflict. To be able to breathe out and to sit with the more uplifting and loving forces. But these forces you normally have to consciously grab a hold of. There is so much easier to grab a hold of a stream that is criticizing, that is of a more judgmental nature. But to be actively living in love, actively living in understanding and in wisdom, to be able to sit even in the most uncomfortable of situations, and to be conscious to know it, to feel it. This pain is part of you, this discomfort is part of you. So to know thyself is kind of a responsibility here. No one can take responsibility for how you feel in the end. Of course, you get a burst of emotions, you get a burst of empathy or antipathy, but you yourself choose if this should keep troubling you or if it should be as a lesson, as a pointer to where it is we should go, what we should choose in the future. We are more guided than we let ourselves give the divine realms the credit for. If it weren't for them, we would walk blind. If it weren't for all the texts and ancient scriptures of the ancient religions and masters, we wouldn't have anything to grasp at. But since time immemorial, since we could start to write, and to now, we do have spiritual and mythological records that describe our inner perception and feelings in the earlier times. Today we use our thoughts up here, but we are sleeping, no, we are dreaming to our emotions. We can only feel the surface kind of the emotions, and we are completely sleeping to will. We just do in many cases, but do we see the process? Do we feel the process of from when we got a thought and then to a feeling and then to a deed? To be able to wake up or train yourself to be more in tune with these things. We have a thinking body, we have a feeling body, and we have this physical body. And all of these are important, especially in spiritual practice. We can't neglect one thing for another. Of course, there are some things that are more important than others. We do need to find for ourselves individually what our purpose and responsibilities should be, and how we choose to share with the world. And it really matters what you share with the world. today especially, spirituality is so important. To find the truth, to find real, concrete knowledge of the spiritual realm, and to wake it up in the physical. So that you can see both the physical and the spiritual realm, and where you can change your state of consciousness. I was about to say like a remote control, but we are nowhere near a mechanical process. An organic and spiritual, divinely mutable, transformational, metamorphic souls we are. And the more we let our body train with our soul, the more malleable the body becomes too. The body is a wonderful and the oldest of our members. That is why it's so important to keep it in shape, or to at least give it the practice and focus and the patience it deserves, to be able to perceive and have concepts and make alive the universe and the reality around us again. But with a new kind of consciousness than before. We are never the same over time. That is why we can't go back in time and try to find truth back in time. We will have to go back in time to see where we were, to where we were going, to where we are going. You can find this through study. You can find this through trying to understand, through trying to find truth. Things will more or less come to you, especially if you're seeking it. You become a magnet to it. And I personally am not too fond of using this magnet to attract physical things. I use this magnet to attract wisdom, to attract knowledge, to attract understanding and love, so that I can have a permanent foundation, not something that can be gone in a flicker of a moment. Because when I have this foundation, you can build a stable and reliable way to live tomorrow. And a way that is sharing in the heart, sharing in love, sharing in whatever your creative endeavor takes you to. These creative endeavors is so important to culture. It's so important to politics. It's so important to enliven and renewing everything. And if we take the moment and do study and cultivate, practice, become aware, focus, and enjoy it, because over time, the more you learn, the more you understand, the more enjoyable it becomes. Not enjoyable in you get euphoric and you get a kick out of it, but it is enjoyable in you see the steady growth and steady change in your whole proposition, in your whole soul force. And when it becomes that clear to you, you can never stop, because you see proof of the change. You see proof of the living, breathing cosmos working upon us, even after we stop growing, even after we stop gaining these growth forces from the universe. When we have these forces to work with, that is when our real work starts. And the work never ends. It is a constant and eternal way of doing it. And the more you tap into this is through many lives, from the past and the future, you start to see you have both karma and you have destiny, and they are intertwined in each other. So there will always be a little pain on the path. That's just how it is. We need to pay the consequences we have done earlier. We have all been here. And to have a love for taking that responsibility, to try to make amends, to try to be the most uplifting and enjoyable human being you can be. Because when you can breathe it, when you can make that a habit, when you can make that a living reality, you have come to a new stage in life. And you begin to feel pain or pleasure from unconditional love or egotistical love. Because only gaining something only for yourself without the concern of others is a selfish love. But trying to earn this same thing but with others' concern in mind, to kind of work for others. But there is a balance here. You can't be a martyr, you can't sacrifice yourself either. But you can't be an egotistical human either. You have to have that middle balance, the heart, both self-love and love of others. And that is an unconditional alchemy, in a sense, that only humans can do. And that is why I enjoy being human so much, and to try to find out more of what it is to be human. We are such a magnificent and amazing species, and we are the crown of creation here on Earth, in the physical world. And we should behave that way. We should have a little more dignity with ourselves when we relate to others, when we are with others, and make beautiful music together, beautiful harmony together, consciously, instead of trying to overstep and try to step on each other, trying to always compete, and it doesn't go anywhere. No one gains everything by trying to compete to be that other person. If I try to compete with you, I am trying to compete with being you. And that is just silly. So compete with yourself. Compete on how much can you be you. How much can you show yourself to the world. How much can you shine without being an arrogant prick about it. That is the hard part, because we all know how beautiful and loving it feels to be in connection. But we can't go around saying fuck everyone else and I feel enjoyable. That is the thing. So, this is what I had to say today. This was an amazing moment. And may you all keep searching and keep studying and keep growing. And might the Divine guide you all. Love you. Goodbye.